broadcasting live 4 days a week worldwide
from the sunny beaches of Southern California.
This is ExtremeHealthRadio.com.
Hi, this is Bruce Lipton. I'm on Extreme Health Radio with Justin and Kay, and I just want to say that I so appreciate this opportunity because we have a wonderful show ahead of us.
With all the advances in medical technology today, the key to longevity may be as simple as vitamin C. Discover the power of lipospheric vitamin C at extremehealthradio.com/vitamin C. Are you ready to feel younger and healthier? Harness the healing power of the C. Take control of your health and visit extremehealthradio.com/C, SEA, and use the coupon code JUSTIN, JUSTIN, and get 20% off. Discover the secret to eternal youth. Okay, I think we need to have Bruce Lipton re-record your little intro there. He called you Kay.
I was going to say I actually feel like he likes me better because we're on like not even a first name basis. He's just shortening it and giving me hey, Kay.
It's like your little nickname.
I'll take it.
I look at it as a K-A-Y, but I think he's calling you just like the letter K.
Yeah, we're really comfortable with each other.
It's like a term of endearment. Okay.
I'll take it. Isn't that funny?
That is hilarious. Well, we're going to have a really fun show today. I'm really excited to have Steve Maxwell on, and we don't get to talk about my deep love for jiu-jitsu very often, but we'll talk a little bit about that today.
You're going to be in hog heaven.
I was trained in jiu-jitsu under the Gracie Academy, one of his associated academies here, and for 3 years. Remember, you bought me the pass for that. Remember that?
Yes, and I went for about 6 months.
You did, that's right.
And I realized it wasn't quite my thing, but you fell in love with it, and it was a great experience.
Oh, I love jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, I'll try anything, but then you really fell for it. So.
Yeah, I fell for
it.
And unfortunately, I had to stop because I tore my ACL. I was training with a guy who was going to go to a tournament, and this was in 2008, and I tore my ACL. And that was the end of that. Well, I didn't have surgery on it, so maybe that's why.
Never say never. We'll get you back out.
But we're with Steve Maxwell today. We'll introduce him in just a moment. This is episode 310. So if you want to go to extremehealthradio.com/310, you can check out all of the show notes that we have on that page of anything that we talk about. And if you guys would like to support our show, visit our sponsors today, which are Live On Labs and S&C. Amazing, amazing products that we stand behind, just love. And you can also go through Amazon, extremehealthradio.com/Amazon if you want to support us on there. Excuse me. And that would be a great way to support us. For reference, today is Thursday, September 3rd, 2014.
It's actually the 4th.
Is that right?
You almost got it right.
Jeez, you can't update everything, can you?
No. You're all good.
Yeah. Okay, September 4th, 2014. As if it matters, right?
I know, right? Doesn't matter.
Listening in the future. But that's good to be correct. We've got Steve Maxwell on. He's an American fitness coach, a physical educator. We're going to be talking about longevity and ayurvedic techniques and his principles with diet and Brazilian jiu-jitsu, kettlebell training, all kinds of cool stuff.
Nice.
He teaches worldwide, and he's one of the top 100 trainers in the USA named by Men's Journal, which is pretty cool.
Shoot.
Yeah, Men's Journal is pretty good.
That's big time.
And today, Mr. Steve Maxwell, you're in Norway. Is that correct?
I am. Sunny Oslo.
Sunny Oslo. I was just looking. What are you doing over there right now?
I'm actually teaching 3 weeks of seminars. I've been coming here for almost 5 years now, and I have a host, the Oslo Kettlebell Gym. It's actually in a jiu-jitsu school. It's sort of a multi-purpose facility, and he established a kettlebell club years ago, and they branched mostly into fitness. And he's the headquarters for there's a Viking challenge race. It's like an obstacle course race. It's very popular here in Norway. And he's like the workout headquarters for people trying to get in physical condition to do these obstacle course races here in Norway.
Really? So you've been going there for 5 years?
Yeah, I've been coming back and forth. each year, and doing workshops and seminars in both bodyweight training, kettlebells, and joint mobility.
And so you have a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, is that right?
I have a 5th degree black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
You know, I always wanted to know, what is the difference in terms of the degrees of the black belt?
Every 3 years, you after you get your black belt, the first 2 years, after your first 2 years, you get 2 white bars on the end of your red patch on your black belt. That indicates that you're a full professor. And at that point, you are able to award other people a black belt. Wow. Up until that point, you can only promote to brown belt. And then every 3 years afterwards, you'll get a degree on your belt. Once you get your 8th degree, then your belt changes to red-black. And once you get your 8th degree on your red-black, you become a coral or red belt.
Oh, my goodness.
So, Steve, does this mean you started when you were like a toddler, or did you pick up later in life on...
No, I got my black belt in the year 2000. I was the first American black belt from Gracie, and one of the first 10 American black belts to get to be awarded in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. So, it's been a while. So, what is it, 2015 next year or so. Wow. Also, you get degrees according to results. If you win a tournament or a major event of some type, it can accelerate the degrees in your belt.
So when you got your black belt in 2000, how many years had you been training before that to get that black belt?
Well, let's see. I started in 1989, back before anyone even knew about the Gracie brothers.
I know, right?
I was actually 38 at the time. I was a former NCAA Division I wrestler, and had actually coached wrestling in the high school and coached football. I was a physical education teacher when I first started out. And, of course, I was always looking for that thing to replace wrestling. Mm-hmm. Wrestling is pretty much a young man's sport, and, where do you go with it once you graduate from college other than to coach? Mm-hmm. And I was just tried many different martial arts, and none of them just really equaled that joy I felt getting on the mat. Mm-hmm. And then when I went to the very first Gracie Jiu-Jitsu seminar in New York City at Hunter College, I was just blown away. I was like, wow, this is what I've been looking for. This is so cool, Yeah. And I opened up the first Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu school in the Eastern Seaboard. That was before Gracie or any of these guys. There was a place called Maxercise. You can even Google it. And that was the first Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu Gracie Academy on the Eastern Seaboard. And I was Royce Gracie's conditioning coach for the first UFCs.
Wow.
His wife actually used to be my kid's babysitter and used to teach one of my fitness instructors at the club that I opened in Philadelphia.
Oh my gosh! Wow. And so
I was also an investor in the first UFCs. Jorge and Gracie started the UFC on a shoestring budget, and just got a lot of small little investors like myself to throw some money into the pot. And the first in 1993 in Denver, that was put together pretty much with just a shoestring budget, and no one knew what was going to happen. I mean, Jorge was pretty confident in his family's jiu-jitsu style, but basically it was anything went. There was really literally no rule.
I remember watching it at the time. They
agreed not to bite or poke each other in the eyes. Yeah. But everything else was going. Hitting in the testicles is fine. Hair pulling. Strikes to the back of the skull. Elbow strikes to the neck.
Yeah, with no gloves,
guys.
Too. Right?
Yeah, I mean, you could literally stomp guys on the ground. Oh. It was nuts, man.
I remember that.
And here was this skinny kid, this nice, easygoing kid with this great smile that spoke, pidgin English, and there he was thrown out there in this baggy white pajamas, right? Mm-hmm. All these other guys looked like freaking ripped bodybuilders, and I had a lot of confidence in jiu-jitsu, but man, I was pretty scared for Royce.
Oh yeah,
and history was made. This guy really showed what happens when you don't know how to fight in the ground.
Yeah, when you go back and look at some of those early ones, I think it was either the first one or the third one where he was fighting Chemo, And you see the beginning of the fight, and Chemo just comes after him like a bat out of hell. He looks like he's about 250 pounds, and Hoist is just a young, skinny kid.
Hoist is about 176 pounds, soaking wet.
Yeah, that was amazing. Wow. And so at that time, you were already connected with the Gracie family, and you were coaching Hoist with fitness and things for those first fights, right?
Yeah, that's correct.
Wow.
We were. I mean, he was never particularly strong, and had great endurance and flexibility, and of course that awesome jiu-jitsu family style. But we were doing a lot of strength training, trying to strengthen his joints and keep him safe from injury.
Wow. And so I got to ask you, how did you? I mean, you got originally turned on to jiu-jitsu because you were doing wrestling and you needed something that you wanted to mimic that fun that you had with wrestling. But in terms of like the fitness and the ayurvedic principles that I mean, I've done only 3 years of jiu-jitsu, but I can tell you, at least from my experience, not a lot of people in my academy knew anything about health or fitness or anything like that. A lot of guys were overweight. How did you get all involved with this complete other side to health and fitness?
Well, I've always been interested in alternative medicine. From a very early age, I just had a major distrust of Western medicine. I had a brother that got glomerular nephritis, which is a breakdown of the filtration system of the kidneys. Oh. His kidneys were basically spilling everything back, getting rid of everything rather than recycling important proteins and amino acids. He eventually had to have the kidneys removed. But there was a lot of things that the doctors did were pretty underhanded, according to my brother, who did a lot of research. So I started looking at it a little bit more closely. And as a result of his death at the hands of Western medicine, I had a great distrust for doctors in general.
What year was this?
Let's see. This was, I would have been 28 years old. I'm 62 now, so.
Wow. So this happened, so was this your older brother or younger brother?
He was a younger brother. He was 2 years younger than myself. Actually, a year and a half. And we were pretty close growing up. So, I just realized that, hey, you know what? They don't even know what causes the common cold, man. I mean, they blame germs and everything. And that whole Western germ theory of disease makes no sense to me whatsoever. Because if germs were definitely the cause of everything, how comes I'm not sick right now? There's cold and flu germs in every square inch of every surface we touch. Right. How comes I'm not sick? Why don't I have a cold? There's got to be more to it than that,
Yeah. That's fascinating. So, did your whole family kind of jump on board with the stuff that you were doing, or did they think
not at all. My mother was like, almighty God, doctor,
Yeah.
I think she actually relished going to the doctors, someone to pay attention to her.
Wow, that's crazy. So your
she
brother,
she loved, she had all these major surgeries and operations. She wasn't particularly well, and she was totally steeped in the whole Western medical tradition. Oh well, this is unhealthy. Let's cut it out.
Yeah. That's
rather than let's find why this is happening and get to the root of what's causing your disturbance. Let's just get the scalpel out and just cut it out of your body.
Isn't it weird how doctors in the medical model treat people like machines? You hear that even in the fitness world. You kind of hear this similarity, this comparison to the body as a machine. And I mean, it is a machine in certain ways, but it doesn't seem like it's much of a machine in terms of just taking organs out, does it?
No, it sure doesn't. I mean, for sure, no one's getting to the root cause of what is happening to the body and why. And that's something that the ancients were very well aware of. They were very aware of cause and effect.
Yeah, and you, so at that time, is that when you started doing a little bit of studying in the Ayurvedic principles, or where did you go first?
Yes, well, as a young wrestler, I had a real serious injury. I actually had a broken neck, subluxation fracture, and dislocation of C3, 4, and 5. I was told I'd never play sports again. So I became really interested in looking into every way that I could strengthen my body, including diet and exercise. And I started reading a lot of alternative dietary advice. I became really interested in health. As opposed to just performance or the body beautiful. Usually people have it backwards in our society. they're looking for the 6-pack abs or the buns of steel or the baseball biceps,
Yeah.
those big gee whiz muscles. And, then they're, interested in maybe what they can do. But unfortunately, a lot of people, they look like Tarzan but play like Jane. And
that's true. Yeah.
Their performance isn't quite up to the to the look. But usually there's a performance element in there, how much I can bench or curl or whatever.
Right. Yeah.
and then health kind of comes as this, just like a consideration tacked on the end. But it should be the reverse.
It totally should be the reverse.
Yeah. I learned it should be health number one. I mean, absolutely. If you're healthy, then you're going to be able to do stuff and perform well. And if those two are in alignment, then you're going to have that real good aesthetic appearance. You're going to have the look that comes along with health and being able to do things well.
Yeah. Steve, was it a long journey for you to get back to that place where you could go out there again? I mean, was it years, or how did you overcome that neck?
No, it was actually pretty quick.
Really?
I just started doing neck training and lifting weights, and back in the 60s, in the early 60s, weight training was still not really accepted in a lot of circles.
Yeah.
And I became an avid bodybuilder and strength trainer. And this is still in the day when bodybuilding was a clean sport. It hadn't been overrun with the steroids yet, and it was still somewhat honorable. I mean, back in the day, bodybuilding was considered the same as physical culture. Mm-hmm. And the guys were able to do things like, gymnastics, simple things. They could do handstands and work the parallel bars in the rings.
Yeah.
And they could do Olympic weightlifting. And, of course, they would do all the standard bodybuilding barbell lifts and so forth.
That's how Jack LaLanne was.
The guys were athletes,
right.
Yeah, that's how Jack LaLanne was. I remember all those old photos of him doing works on the parallel bars and all that kind of stuff.
Well, one of my heroes was John Grimmick, who was the senior editor for Muscular Development magazine, which was a York publication. And I grew up in a little town called Carlisle, Pennsylvania. And York was just down the road, and Grimmick was down there. And he was a legend. And I had a chance to go down and meet with him and talk with him. And, it was an amazing experience. The York Barbell Company, Bob Hoffman, the father of American weightlifting. And, Grimmick was an example of the early bodybuilding. He won a gold medal in Olympic weightlifting in the 1936 Olympics. I mean, imagine, a guy that won a gold medal. He was also Mr. Universe,
wow.
Mr. America several times. And in his posing routine, he used to do backflips, and he could do a full split on the ground.
Really?
He was an amazing dancer.
Oh my gosh.
He used to do this electrifying posing routine where he would literally make the muscles dance and writhe on his body. He just had such muscle control. And, I mean, you just don't see that kind of thing. No. Bodybuilding's a complete freak show now. I mean, the guys really are truly freaks with the growth hormone and the steroids and the clenbuterol and all these other things. It's really, in my opinion, sickening.
Yeah, we have a guy in our gym that he's about 5'10" and he's about 320 pounds of just mostly muscle.
He's wider than he is taller.
He's just amazingly, freakishly strong.
Yeah.
But you can't be getting there by natural methods, I don't think.
No, not at all. I mean, if you want to see what people should look like if you want to see men and women like in their natural state, what good training can do, you have to go back before the 1950s. Like early 60s, 50s, 40s. Look at Strength and Health magazine and some of these other physical culture magazines back in the day, and you'll see what fit men and women actually are meant to look like.
Yeah, fit without all the drugs and everything else, right?
Exactly. They didn't even have so much as a Flintstone vitamin back in those days. People weren't taking supplements or, there was no performance-enhancing drugs. Yeah. You can't even believe most of the advice you find in modern fitness publications and so forth, because you don't know whether the guy's using drugs or not. There used to be this well-known bodybuilder that ran a nutrition column, right? But then it turns out that this person was using clenbuterol, which really speeds up your metabolism.
Yeah.
And it came out that she would go home and have an entire ice cream cake every night. But because of the drugs and the training, she could get away with it.
It's just crazy.
I mean, what would she possibly know about telling the average woman or man, how to diet or how to train when she's using these type of drugs? She wouldn't even have a clue.
It's weird.
Yet she's touted as an expert. But I mean, that's insane, isn't it?
Yeah, it's just weird because she looks, she might look the part, but it's like this weird disconnect when you go into any gym. The guys and the girls are eating a certain amount of protein and carbs, and there's no real focus on health. I just find it's such a strange. So when I saw your work online, I was just immediately intrigued. How does this guy putting all the pieces together? I was fascinated how much you knew, but then how entrenched in both worlds you are. Do you find it weird and a bit strange that the world that you might live in mostly is the fitness jiu-jitsu world, that they don't understand the health side of things?
Well, no, I'm not surprised by it too much anymore. I mean, everyone lives in like these little bubbles, Yeah. And a lot of times these bubbles don't really intersect too much. I mean, people live in pretty small little worlds. But I don't know whether you're aware, I travel full time. I'm a nomad. I own no house. I own no car. I have no key to any lock. Everything I own is in one 65-liter bag, which is about 48 inches by 24 by 13.
Oh my
so
goodness.
My life possessions all fit in that little bag.
I
basically just go from country to country every few weeks. Occasionally I'll stay for a month or two. And I get a chance to see the big picture, so to speak.
Yeah.
And because I'm in health and fitness, that's my major interest, I'm always seeking those people out. Or they're either they're hosting me or I'm going to actually learn and study myself. For example, I just got back from Krasnodar, Russia. This is very close to where all that action's taking place, with Russia and Ukraine and all that. Krasnodar's not all that far away. And I was working with the father of Russian military martial arts. His name is Alexeyevich Kadashnikov. Wow. And Kadashnikov invented a series of exercises called the biomechanical exercises designed to strengthen your joints for mostly martial arts and military stuff, but also is just great anti-aging. I was there for the anti-aging stuff,
Yeah.
And I just wanted to learn these biomechanical exercises from the master. I had learned them from some other disciples before, but I wanted to get them straight from the horse's mouth. And so that was an example of a trip for me where I was the student. I was there to learn.
Isn't that cool?
You get like a really interesting perspective. And the Russian people are fantastic. They're so friendly. They were so interested in me as an American. They were shocked that I was there. What am I doing? And I was just basically treated like royalty, man. They were just so happy that I was there and that I wanted to learn what they had. And they were quite great, good hosts. Wow. They really looked after me the whole time I was there.
Wow. This is fascinating stuff. We're going to take a little bit of a break, but I'm intrigued because I've heard you talk about that before, about how you lived out of a van for a while, and I want to get into that. And
we have a chat room question waiting too.
Oh, good. And the joint mobility stuff, as well as the kettlebell training. So there's a lot to get to here. We're with Steve Maxwell. If you're interested in his website, you can check him out. It's Maxwell Fitness. Maxwell SC, MAXWELL, Maxwell SC.com. You can check out all of his. He's got a bunch of videos on there I was looking at the other day. All kinds of really cool stuff. So we'll be right back with Steve right after this break. Are you living in the 21st century taking 19th century supplements? Vitamin C pills and powders are often destroyed in the digestive system and passed as waste, never reaching your depleted cells. Lipospheric vitamin C uses a patented encapsulation technology to deliver more without the stomach distress caused by pills and powders. Within minutes, liposomes filled with vitamin C are transported directly into your cells without binders, fillers, sugar, or GMOs. With all the modern advances of medicine and technology, are you throwing away money every morning on inefficient supplements? For under $1 a day, you could experience the power of lipospheric vitamin C. For a real eye-opener, visit extremehealthradio.com/vitamin C. Feel younger and feel healthier. Harness the power of the sea through S&C, delivering you whole body wellness. S&C supplements are specifically formulated using active sea-based minerals at levels that correspond directly to the nutritional makeup of the human body. The unique and original S&C product line is enhanced by the legendary Dr. Ron Kusan's proprietary processing technology, increasing the efficiency and speed of nutrient delivery into our system. Achieve optimal hydration and mineral balance, decalcify the body to provide rapid relief from chronic diseases and ailments like inflammation and digestive dysfunctions. S&C is a life-restoring solution to ensure optimal health and wellness. Visit extremehealthradio.com/C, SEA today and discover the secret to eternal youth. If you enter the coupon code JUSTIN, JUSTIN, you'll get a 20% discount on all orders for a limited time. So why wait to be well? Go to extremehealthradio.com/C.
100% listener supported. Extreme Health Radio. Opening minds and transforming lives worldwide. Don't forget to join our thriving community for health tips, inspiration, and show updates at extremehealthradio.com/Facebook.
All right, we're having a fun time here with Steve Maxwell from MaxwellSC.com, and really fascinating guy, traveling all around, giving jiu-jitsu and self-defense seminars around the world. Pretty cool stuff. I really want to get my knee completely fixed. I want to start training again. I love jiu-jitsu. It was so much fun.
I know.
You know? Really so much fun.
Yeah, your knee was unfortunate for sure, because you were just feeling like you were hitting that point, I think, when you were kind of obsessed in a good way with it.
I know, right?
And you loved it.
I loved it so much.
Makes me sad.
Yeah, skinny guy like me, I got to know how to defend myself, you know?
You wouldn't want to cross Steve in a dark alley on a snowy night, would you?
Definitely not. So, Steve, I wanted to ask you, we've got a couple listener questions, so I think what we'll do is we'll take some more of those at the end, because we have some live listeners. But I wanted to get into your story, because there's a bunch of different directions we could go. I definitely want to get into your kettlebell workout training stuff, because I've been doing some of that lately. But I'm just fascinated. You mentioned how you're living out of a small bag, and you haven't owned a house for quite some time. How did that story progress? How did you start doing that?
It's called divorce, Justin.
That happens, right?
I was a householder for years, and my ex-wife DC Maxwell and I created Maxercise. It was a gym that we owned for almost 17 years in Center City, Philadelphia. It was pretty much a destination for a lot of people. It was not only a personal training gym, but it also housed the first Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu school in the Eastern Seaboard. So, we kind of wore two hats. We had a personal training gym downstairs and then a jiu-jitsu academy upstairs. And it was a lot of fun. It was also the place where the very first kettlebell class in the United States was taught, at least in modern times. Mm-hmm. Kettlebells go way back, and there are old school pictures of guys in the late 1800s, early 1900s with what they call ring weights. Uh-huh. But the Russian kettlebell system hit the United States in the late 90s, and I was right on the crest of that wave, and I got real interested in the whole Russian kettlebell system.
Oh, totally.
And started teaching group exercise classes with the Russian kettlebell, and it loaned itself real well to group exercise classes. I myself have been searching for different modalities to make me a better jiu-jitsu player. Uh-huh. At that time, I was competing pretty heavy. There's tournaments in jiu-jitsu. And I was in the competition circuit there at that point, and I was always looking for a way to just increase my work capacity and make me a better athlete. And the kettlebell was arguably a great training tool. I mean, maybe if you only had one tool to train with, a kettlebell would be a good choice. I mean, of course, you can't beat your own body weight, obviously. Mm-hmm. All you need is a horizontal bar, something to pull yourself up with. Mm-hmm. But you combine that body weight training with kettlebell training, you have a pretty good system. pretty much, you can take it with you anytime, any place, anywhere. You don't need to be gym dependent.
It doesn't seem like a lot of these exercises, because I do a lot of like bench press and things like that, and different presses, incline bench with barbells and things. But, it doesn't even seem like exercises like those are all that natural in terms of, why would we ever, if we evolved or however we got here, why would we ever be doing something like a bench press? It's such a weird movement, isn't it?
Well, for sure. A lot of the movements that people do in the gym are not natural. If you think about it, if man was left to his own devices, right, kind of in the animal state, he would probably lie, cheat, steal, kill, overeat, oversleep, fornicate. One thing for sure, he probably wouldn't exercise.
Yeah, that's true.
Man, by his very nature, is lazy.
Yeah.
We're designed to lay down a very rapid layer of body fat, that's all part of our survival mechanism, and, to conserve our energy as much as possible. Because in ancient times, the ability to lay down a rapid layer of body fat could mean the difference between life and death during famines and so forth when hunting or gathering wasn't so good. And, you only worked when you had to because life was so doggone hard. Every day was like a workout, just going out hunting and gathering and so forth. When you did have a chance, you just laid around and you didn't do anything.
Yeah.
So it does go against what's hardwired in our DNA. So training is unnatural in itself.
Yeah, I guess you're right.
But human beings having an intellect and a human brain, we can override those base animal instincts and rise above it, and of course, organize ourselves to keep ourselves fit and strong, because it's obvious that we were designed for movement, we were designed to be active, but unfortunately in our modern society, most people spend most of their time in chairs over iPads and computers, like we're doing right now.
Yeah. How often a day do you sit? Do you sit for many hours a day, or do you try to not do that?
I use what is referred to as the archetypal human postures. For sure, it was natural for human beings to rest, but I try not to sit in the chair. The chair may be one of the worst inventions ever. It shortens the hip flexors, shortens the hamstrings, creates a forward head and a upper back curvature called kyphosis. You see the hump in people's back. Some people, it looks like their head is growing out of the middle of their chest. Right. Their head, when they walk through a door, their head enters the room like a second or two before the rest of their body.
I know.
Sad.
That's a pretty typical posture for a lot of modern people because of humping over a desk. So I try to sit in the floor or lay on my stomach with the iPad or a laptop in front of me. It's called the Sphinx posture. I'll squat, kneel, hunter squat, kneeling on one leg, sitting in the Z seat. These are all natural positions that we did as children, before we were forced to sit in chairs in public school.
What is the Z seat?
It's where you're sitting with your legs. It's kind of like an S type. One heel is up underneath the hip, and the other leg is crossed out in front of you, sort of like the pigeon pose in yoga.
Oh, yeah.
I think
it's a pretty natural way to sit.
My teacher in grade school, I think, had one of those kind of chairs where, I think I know what you're talking about. So you can get those. That would probably be better.
You're talking about the Seiza position. No, I'm not talking about Seiza. Z seat is a little bit different.
Okay.
Where you literally are sitting with your legs shaped like a Z.
Okay.
Yeah, kind of like pigeon.
Oh,
on the ground.
Right. Okay.
Well, it's kind of like almost like a pigeon pose.
Well, this
you're sitting on one heel and the other leg's kind of out in front of you, and it's for most people it's pretty natural and comfortable. Unless you're really stiff from sitting too much on a chair.
Yeah, this definitely goes along with a question for you in the chat room. It says, "Hey Steve, big fan. For people who are stuck at a desk all day, do you have any recommended mobility exercises?" So.
Well, for sure. I myself am quite the iPad jockey. I do online personal training as one of the primary sources of my income. That enables me to travel. I call it my freedom business. And people looking to become more nomadic and break away from the typical lifestyle you got to, develop a way that you can make money anywhere. Mm-hmm. So I do online personal training. I do some fat loss and diet coaching as well. And I work with everyone from elite athletes right up to just, normal people. Mm-hmm. And I myself am answering emails all day long. So I get up every few minutes. I actually set a little timer, and I march in place, and I get down to the floor and do head nods and an exercise I call rocking. These are all movements that infants do. Some people refer to it as reflexive strength exercises, mm-hmm. like babies do when they're little. I mean, think of how strong a baby is. They have their great big giant melon of a head, mm-hmm. and they lift that head up and use their strong little spines, and they're rolling over and using this reflexive strength. Well, if you do that stuff and just get down to the floor and do that periodically throughout the day, you can maintain your youth and flexibility and mobility. And so I'm constantly just getting up and moving around. I fidget a lot. Fidgeting is a great way just to kind of keep active. I'm moving my feet, tapping my toes, rolling my ankles, doing head nods. I'm just never actually sitting still.
Yeah.
It's just really good to just keep yourself moving, even when you have to stay put in one spot. So, and, I keep adjusting my posture. By sitting on the floor with my laptop or my iPad, I'm able to sit in natural positions that we were meant to sit in. What we were not meant to sit in was a chair.
Yeah, I can see that. And it's interesting because so many people are sitting at a desk all day, like the guest who just wrote in. So it seems like you would probably recommend for a person that goes to an office that can't do some of these body movements in the office, maybe just to get up a lot and kind of just stretch and move around a lot, and then do some body weight training or some sort of mobility exercises when they're not working, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Every day, it's an absolute must. Okay. I mean, think of it this way. Think of chair sitting as the new smoking.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. We've heard so many bad things about it. It
really does, over time, erode your ability to move.
It's funny. People will say, like, you should get up every couple hours, from your chair, but I have to get up every 20 minutes. I can't sit down in a chair for an hour. There's no way.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sitting here talking to you right now, sitting on the edge of this little desk chair at this hotel in Oslo, uh-huh. and I'm moving around, and I'm doing my head nods, and, I'm shoulder circles and all sorts of stuff while we're actually talking. I actually find it helps me think, especially on phone calls and so forth, moving around. Sometimes I actually walk around holding the iPad uh-huh. When I'm on, conference calls and things. I use Skype quite a bit. And I'll actually move around and walk and pace. I have a lot of my clients, they get standing desks so they're not sitting. And they're moving and standing up while they're doing their work during the day.
Yeah, that's really a growing trend, isn't it, the standing desk?
It is.
Yeah.
And another good tip is to get rid of the chair and get a stability ball, one of those big round balls that you see. Uh-huh. Some people call them Swiss balls. Mm-hmm. And you sit on that, and you're just kind of rolling around in that thing, and you can lay over it now and again to kind of stretch out your spine, your back. And, of course, your core is very active, because you're balancing yourself on the ball. Uh-huh. So it's like an active form of sitting. And that's a great way to get movement and mobility into your office routine.
We have a listener question here from a live listener, actually a former student of yours from Philadelphia. But I wanted to ask really quickly, I heard you mention one time online that you said something about aging and how you're able to figure out if someone's aging in a good way or a bad way based on their ability to get up, to rise up and down off the floor. Is that right?
Well, there was a real interesting study done at Sao Paulo University in Brazil. And they did an extensive lifestyle questionnaire where they factored in just about everything you could think of, from diet to exercise to driving habits, the chance of dying from accidents to, temperament. I mean, they really, really extensive lifestyle questionnaire. Mm-hmm. Then they had them get up and down off the floor, and they watched how many points of support they needed to rise from the floor. And the more points of support they needed, the greater chance they had of dying prematurely from all causes. It was a really interesting correlation.
Isn't that fascinating? So if someone had to put like both hands and both feet on the floor to get up,
they were really not going to last too long.
Wow, that is so fascinating, because you look at, ever since you said that, so a lot of times, so we have a little dog here, a little wiener dog, and we're always on the floor playing with her. And oftentimes, Kate and I will help each other up. But then just a couple weeks ago, right, Kate? I
you
told
ruined my life a couple weeks ago.
I told you I listened to this guy, Steve Maxwell, and he said about all this stuff about getting up. So we no longer help each other off the floor. But it's interesting.
I would have never known. Yeah. I would have never thought about that.
Very interesting.
Well, here's a good test for you. One of the tests that I use in my fitness seminars, for people to kind of self-test, sit down on the floor in a typical classic cross-leg position, like you did when you were a little kid. And you should be able to get straight up off the floor from the cross-legged position. In other words, with your ankles crossed. It's called the X squat.
Okay. So you
should
would
be able
just
to do it on both sides.
Okay, so you would leave your legs crossed, but twist so that you could get up. Is that right?
No, I think just go straight up.
Just get up. Just
I'm going to
push on the sides of your feet and get up.
Okay, well, we're going to take a little break.
I know what I'm doing
right
at the
now.
break, yeah.
Yeah, we're going to take a break right now. I'm going to try to do that. Steve, I wanted to ask you this question. I'll just read it so that you can kind of know what we're talking about from Mike, who's listening right now in the chat room. He says, and then we'll take a break, and then maybe you can get to some of his points after the break. But he says, "Hey, Steve, it's Mike Palinkas, your old student from Philadelphia. I recently had surgery for a bicep tendon on July 1st. PT... What does that say?
Physical therapy so far.
Oh, physical therapy so far is just range of motion. When I get the go from the surgeon, what's the safest way to gain some arm strength back before an accident?
Before the accident.
Oh, before the accident. I could still do 6 to 7 clean chin-ups. Thanks. So maybe, Steve, we'll tackle that one after the break. Does that sound good?
Yeah, that sounds fantastic.
Excellent. Okay, we're going to take a little break. This is episode 310. And we're going to come back with Steve, and I'm going to try to get up off the floor here a second and see what I can do.
Let's do it. Let's see.
Okay, everybody, we'll be right back right after this break. I have been a huge fan of rebounding for many, many years, and if you want to get in great cardiovascular shape, tone your legs, back, and butt, and stomach, as well as cleanse your lymphatic system from toxins and chemicals, you just have to start rebounding. It's imperative. And not only will it create endorphins that quickly become addictive to you, but it's very low impact as well. It helps to prevent sicknesses and diseases, as well as increase bone density, and it flushes toxins from your lymphatic system. It's amazing. And not only that, but it's a ton of fun also. I do it every single day for about 15 minutes. And we found the best rebounder on the market today in the world, bar none. It's called the Bellicon Rebounder. It's the Rolls-Royce of rebounders, in my opinion. And let's listen to some of what our guests have had to say about rebounding. Robert von Sarbacher is a health researcher and creator of the Mini Beat Protocol. And Robert, what's your favorite exercise?
In general, probably one of the number one anti-aging exercises on the planet is rebounding. So 15 minutes a day is good for that. You can find people who have had thermography scans on cancers, giant tumors, and when they're doing a rebounder, it would start spewing out and shrinking right in front of your eyes, the tumor would, as they're on the rebounder. So it's really good for that sort of thing. It's also very good for exercising internal organs. It's the only internal organ exerciser that I know of known to man.
Dr. Lindsay Duncan is the CEO and founder of Genesis Today. And what's the best way that you think of to stimulate the lymphatic system of the body?
Rebounding is incredible because it's good for the lymphatic system, and there's more lymph fluid in the body than there is blood. And the quickest way and the most effective way to get the lymphatic system flowing is through rebounding itself.
Yeah, because the lymphatic system can't really detox itself, can it? I think you know.
No, the heart, we have the heart, thank you, for pumping blood. And we don't have a heart to pump lymphatic fluid. The only thing that really can pump lymphatic fluid is cardiovascular exercise utilizing the thighs, the thigh muscles. And that's why rebounding and getting a burn in that thigh muscle is so important for the flow and the stimulation of the lymphatic fluid.
Wow, and they even put cancer patients on rebounding, don't they?
Nutritionists do.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, but not a conventional doctor. But yeah, I've been learning about rebounding lately. It's quite an amazing thing.
Yeah, rebounding's amazing.
Health researcher and author of Cancer Step Outside the Box, Ty Bollinger. What do you do in your life to prevent cancer?
What do you do to treat cancer? What do you do to prevent it? Rebounding is something that I try to do on a daily basis. A little mini trampoline for those people that aren't familiar with the term rebounding, but it's basically just jumping up and down on a little mini tramp. What that does is it stimulates the lymphatic system. Lymphatic system is one of our primary detoxification systems in our body. And most folks don't stimulate their lymph flow, and so the toxicity in their body builds up because their lymph is not stimulated. And the up-down motion on a rebounder stimulates the lymph flow better than just about any other exercise. So I do that almost on a daily, probably 5 days a week. I would say I average doing that.
And finally, author and speaker and creator of the Longevity Now program, David Wolf. Do you think the Bellicon is the best rebounder on the market today?
Absolutely. I was just with the crew in Europe that does the Bellicon rebounder, which is an incredible rebounder. My God, what a machine. And it doesn't use metal springs. It uses like flexi ropes. So it's very soft and fun, and it's just great to play with.
Well, there you have it. The up and down G-force actually stimulates every single cell in your body. It's incredible. And as someone who works out in the gym a lot and does Qigong, I think that the best physical aerobic exercise, in my opinion, is rebounding. It's just absolutely incredible for the human body. And the Bellicon is silent, and it comes with a warranty, and you can get them in several different sizes and colors, and some of them have bars that you can hold on to in case you're worried about balance. It's a well worth it investment in your health and in your future. So check them out in our store if you'd like, or you can check out the videos on extremehealthradio.com/Bellicon. Again, that's extremehealthradio.com/Bellicon. That's B as in boy, ELLICON.
All free shows, all the time, on Extreme Health Radio. Opening minds and transforming lives worldwide. Join our community today. Sign up to our email list and instantly get our free gift to you, along with loads of inspirational content and cutting-edge tips to help change your life at extremehealthradio.com/subscribe.
All right, we're having a great time here with Mr. Steve Maxwell from, let's see, I'm going to make sure that I get his website correct. It's maxwellsc.com. We'll put that in the chat room as well as on the show notes page. And make sure to sign up to our newsletter if you guys want to stay up to date with all of our shows that we have going on. I've got tons of stuff going on. Tomorrow we have our Free For All Friday show where Kate and I kind of just rap about the previous week's guest. We don't do any rapping per se. We don't have much musical skills.
But I would love to hear that. I would love to see you try.
I don't think I'd be too good at that. Next week we have Ronald Goldman, PhD. He's going to be talking about the dangers of circumcision.
Wow.
That's going to be an interesting show. And then we're going to learn how to live until we're 250 years old with Mr. Dr. Ed Park. He's going to be coming into the studio here in Orange County. He's going to be coming in, and we're going to talk about anti-aging and telomere length. And then we have John Holliday on Thursday next week talking about a lot of his herbal products and formulations he's developed over at Aloha Medicinals. So all kinds of cool stuff going on. So the best way to stay up to date with everything is stay up to date on our newsletter list. Sign up, and you get a free ebook with lots of natural health principles and stuff like that in there. So make sure to do that. And Kate, I think you wanted to read something before we get to the question.
Well, I just thought it was so cool that you happened to run the rebounder commercial, because in the chat room, Ashley says that they actually put a rebounder in their office, and they use it as a fun way to tell people about the benefits of rebounding. She says, plus, it's nice to get up every now and then and bounce for a minute or two. Yep, some people give us weird looks, but most people come on and actually take a little bounce, and you can tell they really like it.
That's pretty cool.
And I was thinking, wouldn't that be great if we all had that kind of an office space like we were talking about earlier with Steve, where people could get creative, just get up and fidget around, bounce around for a while. And, you could get really creative if you have some space. And, she works at a university in Texas, so it's kind of a cool thing.
That is really cool. Steve, have you done much work with these rebounders?
I have not, but I've been an avid rope skipper all my life since I was a young wrestler in junior high school. Similar effect. And I also do the 3 massages that I learned in Russia. They're self-massages. It was really interesting. Have you ever heard of a guy by the name of Alexander Lowen?
Alexander Lowen. I don't think so.
He's one of the pioneers in body work. He was a psychologist, and well, at any rate, there's a technique. It's also used in Qigong of bouncing and just shaking the body, and then vibrating the body, and it's a form of self-massage to get rid of tensions and so forth in the body. Yeah,
it's like a bouncing kind of. We do that with our Qigong. You kind of bounce up and down, right?
Well, the Russians do this too. You know, sharing a common border with China. Of course, they've borrowed exercises from each other for countless centuries. Wow. But I learned it when I was in Russia, and it's a fantastic way to get the little flush there, get the juices flowing, so to speak. Yeah,
it's much similar, or very much similar to rebounding, the up and down motion. Let me get to this little listener question here, because this is a good one. A former student of yours, Mike Palinkas, and I'll just read it once again. He says, "Hi, Steve. It's Mike Palinkas, your old student from Philadelphia. I recently had surgery for bicep tendon on July 1st.
Torn bicep.
A torn bicep tendon on July 1st. Physical therapy so far is just range of motion. When I get the go from the surgeon, what's the safest way to gain some arm strength back that I had before the accident? I could still do 6 to 7 clean chin-ups. So what would you suggest for a guy like this?"
Well, Mike was in outstanding shape and really strong guy. For sure, he'll be able to get a lot of that strength back. But this is where isolation exercises come in. You know, the doctors and a lot of times these physical therapists, they make it sound like it's like a really complicated thing. But, rehabilitating yourself from injury, it's not rocket science. I can't tell you how many injuries I've had in my wrestling and jiu-jitsu career. And, of course, I played judo and Russian sambo, and they're rough sports. And, you get hurt. You don't play rough games and not expect to get hurt. And, you rehabilitate yourself through common sense. And for Mike, he needs to do isolation work with that bicep. He needs to, do some dumbbell curls. And he needs to make sure that he's very careful the way he loads that muscle. Slow-mo type movement patterns. And just very gradually work his way up the ladder with the weights, using the double progressive system. Once he hits a certain number of reps to increase the weight, and it's just basic strength training 101. Best way to get that joint strong is to do some isolation movement.
So isolation movements, it kind of takes a bad rap, but it's probably good for recovery and getting rehabbing muscles and things like that. I imagine that.
Absolutely. Think of your knee. What's the best way to strengthen the knee? But to do some type of knee extension. It's going to be really hard after, let's say, a guy would come off a really bad knee injury or even knee surgery. I'd like to see him get that knee strong without a leg extension. It's going to be pretty damn hard.
Yeah,
not impossible, but it's going to be hard. Even if it's just a matter of putting an ankle weight on that, and or draping a bucket over your foot and filling it with sand or water and doing some type of knee extension. But it makes sense that that's the you work the and people talk about functional exercise, but that is the function of the knee, to extend the leg. It's the function of the bicep to flex the elbow. So it's not rocket science, and it's not hard. And I never went to a doctor for any of my injuries. I went to a certified Rolfer, one of the best Rolfers in the Philadelphia area, a woman by the name of Linda Grace, and she pretty much saved my life many times from some pretty horrible injuries.
Really?
I don't know whether you're, I'm a big believer in that type of body work. I'd occasionally see a chiropractor, and I would see an acupuncturist now and again, but I never went to a doctor. I did all the rehabilitation stuff on my own.
That is so cool. I just shared Linda Grace's Rolfing website on our chat room so people can take a look at that. Wow.
Yeah, we had a guest on about Rolfing. It's such an interesting, a lot of people don't, I didn't know what it was before 6 months ago.
It's fascinating, isn't it? It's an incredible story about how it got started, wasn't it?
It really is. Ida Rolf had a son who had polio, that great 50s polio epidemic, and she was very frustrated. Specialist after specialist told her nothing could be done for her son's withered, warped legs. Mm-hmm. And out of sheer frustration, she just started molding the boy's legs with massage type movements, lengthening movements. And she found that the human body is pretty malleable and can actually be molded. And that son went on to become one of the best Rolfers in the world. I was Rolfed by that boy.
Really? And so that was one of the key things to help you get over all your sports injuries.
That's right. When I came to him, my neck was in terrible pain. I had mentioned that I had severely injured my neck in high school wrestling. And, due to Dick Demerly, he fixed that neck and got me straightened out. And I went on to a very good collegiate wrestling career. And then, still able to get in there and play those rough boy games that I like so much.
I know, right? You got to get in there and grapple a little bit, That's pretty cool stuff. I wanted to ask you about a lot of your work with kettlebells and work like that. I've been doing a lot myself, a lot of kettlebell training lately, more because of your work and being exposed to what you talk about kettlebells. I was formerly doing a lot of isolation workouts, some of the 5x5 training techniques where you do compound exercises and things. But I've been doing a lot more kettlebell work lately, and it seems like a lot more. I don't seem to get the same effects in terms of size, but I get a lot more functional. I feel like I'm much more able to use my body in the ways that I want to use them from doing kettlebell training.
Well, the kettlebell is basically it's made for swinging, which you can't do with barbells or dumbbells effectively. It's made to be swung, and it's a work capacity tool. So it's more in line with strength endurance type work as opposed to absolute strength. Uh-huh. And it was never intended to be a bodybuilding tool. The problem is people get fixated on one tool or one system, when in reality the best system would be to do some of your barbell work, some of your dumbbell isolation movements, mm-hmm. and throw some kettlebell stuff in at the end. And of course, obviously, you don't want to miss your body weight exercise. And to my mind, the pull up or the chin up is the number one body weight exercise. And you mix those things together into the perfect program. You don't have to become fixated on just one system or one particular tool. So while kettlebell training is fantastic, you are correct. It's not the best for hypertrophy and developing the body. So a young man that's interested in muscular development, he might use the kettlebell tool as what I would call a finisher, to get a little bit of metabolic work at the end of the workout, get a little work capacity in there. But for sure, if you want muscular size, you're going to have to hit those barbells. Yeah,
you're going to have to do that. And it's interesting because with the kettlebells, you get a whole different training routine and effect on your body. At least I have. But I've noticed that there's not a lot you could do with, or maybe there is, and I'm just not aware of it. But things you can do for your chest. But then that comes, why do I want to build a bigger chest? It's weird anyway, you know what I mean? It's strange.
Well, yeah, for sure. But part of it is too, trying to use a kettlebell to build the chest is kind of like using a screwdriver to hammer in a nail.
Yeah.
You can do it, but why would you do it? There's much better modalities. If that's really what floats your boat, having those big pecs, impress the girls out there on the beach. Of course, most girls probably don't care.
All right.
They're looking at the wallet, man.
I know. That's true.
Hey, we had Gregory write in. He says, when will we see a downloadable video on breathing systema, ladders, etc.? So often mentioned by you, but specific would be cool. Thanks, Coach.
Oh, cool.
Tell them that's coming. I have so many video projects coming up. I'm doing phone apps right now on mobility work, so that you can. I've actually separated a lot of the mobility drills into downloadable segments that you can actually put in your iPhone. And I've been doing bodyweight exercises and follow-along routines also. So next up will be some breathing stuff. But hey, tell them to come to one of my seminars. I hit at least an hour on breath work at the start of every seminar, which is interesting because, people talk about all this stuff, but, it's been my experience that people don't even know how to breathe. They've lost the ability to do diaphragmatic nasal breathing. And when you're doing any kind of aerobic work or anaerobic work and you're breathing improperly, you're actually doing more harm than good. In some cases, you'd be better off not training at all because of the negative stress hormones that you create from improper breathing.
Really?
Yes. Most people are in a state of panic all the time because they're using the upper chest. These are the auxiliary muscles that you use in a state of emergency, but people use them all the time because they just forgot how to breathe. So basically their body is, because of the breathing patterns, it's reading, hey, I'm in a state of stress. I'm in a state of emergency. So they're pumping out all these negative stress hormones, cortisol being one of them, and they just wonder why they're feeling tired all the time. Because it's, being in a vigilant state, a heightened state of alertness all the time, it's really exhausting. So, and it's all due to the breath. And, from looking at yoga and ayurvedics, pranayama is the single most important factor of yoga. It's not the poses or the stretching, it's the breath work and the meditation. That's the true yoga.
It's figuring out how to breathe.
Never had anything to do with being, most the way they do it, at least in the United States, it's just a lot of, a flexible contortionist out there. It has nothing to do with yoga.
Yeah, it's fascinating stuff because the breath is everything. They talk about the breath of fire. There's a lot of people doing stuff. I know that Hickson does a lot of breathing work, and I've seen that for years. I watched his documentary Choke back in, I think, the mid-'90s or something, right after it came out, and he does a lot of work like that. But breathing really is, it takes a conscious awareness, doesn't it, to really realize you're breathing incorrectly and to put your focus on your breath even throughout train rides and plane rides and all that stuff, right?
Well, there was a Russian physician by the name of Butyeko who he actually was able to correlate poor breathing habits with over 200 degenerative physical conditions of the body. And of course, the yogis were saying that 5,000 years ago. If you can't breathe, you're losing one of the most valuable nutrients. I mean, we could argue all day about, diets, low carb, high carb, all meat, all vegan. I mean, it goes on and on, right? Yeah. Paleo versus Mediterranean, blah, blah, blah. But one thing for sure we'd all agree on is the most important nutrient is oxygen. And most people aren't getting it.
What do you think about the Chinese approach or idea, at least I've heard and read about, where some of the philosophies in the ancient Chinese medicine will talk about how man only has a certain amount of breaths or heartbeats throughout their life, and that's kind of set. And I think that's maybe why they do the Qigong and things to restore some of that energy. What do you think about all that kind of stuff?
I just don't know. It's an interesting theory. I guess no one will ever really know.
I guess, right? How would you know unless you had like a double-blind study with two different humans that were exactly the same or something,
It'd be impossible,
Yeah.
Because humans just live too long. And, counting breaths and...
Oh, shoot. Are you there?
I think we lost him.
Did we lose him? No, we're so close.
Internet connection problem. There is a problem with the internet connection between you two. Here we go. I think he might be back. No, it hung up. Let's see. Call dropped.
Should we try to call him back again?
Yeah. Okay, we're calling back on Skype, hopefully. So we were talking about...
We had a few minutes to go.
Yeah, we got a couple more minutes.
We're talking about
the breath work, yeah.
How no one can really know that. It's an interesting concept, though.
Yeah, you're right. How would they know that?
I don't know.
I mean, you would have to have a couple different people.
I wonder where that theory stemmed from.
We'd have to have two Kates.
Right.
And two Justins.
To clone ourselves
and see. But then even then, if one version of you lived in some other place in the world, or even down the street and had a different job and different stressors, I mean, how would you even be able to compare the two different people?
Yeah, you're right.
Strange, huh?
Yeah, for a person who's just residing more in the fight or flight state, just naturally, and they don't know that they are, but compared to the other, clone of you who wasn't for some reason, I mean, who knows?
Yeah, strange.
And try him again?
Try him again. I'm fascinated by Steve.
Yes. Steve's really fascinating.
Really interesting guy. Steve Maxwell, his website, if you guys are interested, is Maxwell, Maxwellsc. And I'm curious. I'm really looking forward to these apps that he's got Because I think those would be pretty cool.
Yeah.
To take with you, and you can do body weight functional fitness exercises and stuff.
As much as it's a bummer sometimes with the cell phones and things like that, it is pretty fascinating what is possible.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really cool. Adam Bergstrom's app from SunSync Nutrition is available on the phone.
That's pretty neat too, huh?
Yeah, really, really interesting guy, Adam Bergstrom. If you guys have not heard his show that we did with him, we did a show with him just recently, didn't we?
Yep. Just last week.
Just last week?
Yep.
Yeah, he's a fascinating guy. He's got an app about how to eat on time, and he talks about the angle of the sun that hits the food, and he talks about how all of our... Steve, are you back? No, it says we're
You have reached the box of 04.
Okay. It says he's online. Let's see. Maybe we'll try him one more time. Yeah, but this app that he's got, it talks about how to eat, what foods to eat at certain times of the day, and every food has a certain time of day to eat it.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah, and then each organ also has a certain time of day that it produces the most hormones and produces the most acids and enzymes. And then if you eat food that corresponds to the organ at the exact time within a 2-hour window, it's supposed to really be beneficial.
Gosh, it's so fascinating, isn't it?
Yeah.
Seems like a heck of a lot of work, but if you have an app to help you along the way, it's a lot easier.
What do you think? Do you think we could live out of a like a duffel bag?
You know what? When he said that,
Cool.
part of my soul kind of did a backflip. That sounds so free.
I know, right?
You know, I would love to say I could try. I wonder how long he's been doing that for. Do you know?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure. Not really sure. Yeah, but
I want to tell him.
I don't think he wanted to get too much into it because he said it's just called divorce.
I know.
That's so cool, but it sounds like he's loving it.
Yeah.
You know?
Gosh, there's this. I love this whole movement of people.
The mailbox of
Doesn't look like we're gonna.
Yeah.
Connect with him here.
Bummer.
Maybe he'll call us.
Yeah, maybe we'll let it sit for a second.
Well, we should explain what happened during the break when we were trying to get up from crisscross applesauce legs.
Oh yeah, that's right. We did it.
Sounded like a popcorn factory in here.
Yeah.
Lots of cracking, which is a little unnerving.
Which means we probably have too much calcium in our
I know,
joints, right?
So I was able to do it pretty quick, and I thought, oh, this isn't that hard. It wasn't that easy, but it wasn't the most difficult thing I've ever done. But you pointed out to me that I had my arms straight out to kind of help leverage myself
forward, right?
And you tried it with your hands hugged into your chest so that there was zero help and it was all core. And then I tried that. It was millions of times harder.
A big difference, right? So I wonder if you could, because he said if you have the more points of pressure that you have, according to the study they did in Rio, the more points of pressure you have to have off the floor, the higher your risks of dying from any illness. So, so if you can get up on one foot, that would be even better.
Can you imagine? That would be the next level.
Pretty soon you're going to be getting off one toe.
I think
you're going to be on your pinky toe, like a ballerina.
I feel a new app coming on.
I know, that'd be funny.
Like a ballerina. Ah, bummer.
Golly. Well,
what a bust of an end to a show, but that was amazing information.
Yeah, we had quite a bit of good content there from Steve, and we can't seem to get a hold of him. Let's see here. What happens if I close Skype here? Close Skype, and we'll reopen it. If anybody has any questions in the chat room, please let us know. I guess this is what happens when you do live radio, right? These things kind of happen.
Right.
Got a ton of people listening in the chat room, but let's see here.
Bummer.
It's 7:20 p.m. in Oslo right now, and let's see. Let's try him one more time. Steve, are you there?
Oslo,
Norway. Pretty fascinating.
Traveling through the cables of the internet, the wires. The fake wires.
Where is this? Where is our voice? Where are our voices going down the internet wires, and then they get sent to our internet service provider, and then they get shot up through satellite? I mean, isn't that weird?
Instantaneous. How does that happen?
Yeah, I mean, Skype calls are a little bit delayed, and it's kind of challenging with that. But it's the weirdest thing. We're talking about this with Steve before we got online, about how he used to play Pong. Remember that?
Mm-hmm.
Did you ever play that?
No, I didn't.
On the computer back in the, I mean, I played it in the 80s, but
I probably had it. I mean, I was around in the 80s, obviously, but
You were?
I was. But I don't know why I didn't play that.
Yeah, it was...
maybe it wasn't a girl thing. I don't know.
Yeah, I think it was just a boy thing.
Just a boy thing.
A boy thing, more of a...
Have reached the mailbox of 041.
No.
Bust.
Oh, I'm so bummed because we love Steve.
We do.
If he ever came into town, he'd put me in an armbar.
Yeah, he would.
If I looked
He'd
at him
stuff you in his backpack.
Yeah, my blue belt will hold nothing to his black belt.
Oh.
I wonder if there's other American. I wonder if there are any American red belts, because I know that Horion, who's the eldest son of Elio Gracie, he's got a red belt. But I wonder if there's any American red belts in Gracie Jiu-Jitsu.
That'd be a great question for Steve.
Yeah, it would be, wouldn't it?
Bummer.
Well, I think we're going to have to call an end to this show. Unfortunately, I don't see Steve back on. I wanted to tell you guys a little bit about maybe some of his stuff he's got on his website, because he's coming out with a bunch of different apps, like he said, right?
Yeah.
And a bunch of different seminars that he's doing. But if you go onto his, if you go onto his events, September 6th and 7th, he's in Oslo. And then, September 12th, 14th, Oslo. He's there for quite some time. He'll be back in New York, October. New York. This is going to be a Gracie Jiu-Jitsu stand-up seminar, which would be really cool. And then a Gracie Jiu-Jitsu self-defense. October, he's in Buffalo, New York, Boston in October. Comes out to California. Maybe we should invite him into the studio.
Whereabout is he?
He's coming to
LA?
Sacramento in November of 2014.
Oh, that's soon.
November, and then I was going to say we should have him in the studio in December, but then he's in Taipei. He's going to Taipei, Taiwan.
So that might be a little bit hard.
That's a little bit of a... Wow, he's going to the Kingdom of Bahrain.
Wow.
Ooh.
Wow, he does travel all over the place, doesn't he?
Wow, he's all over the place. Yeah, and so on his store, he's got a bunch of different instant download videos, too. You can check out training DVDs. Let's try him one more time. Steve Maxwell. Maybe the internet just kind of went kaput there in Oslo. Oh, bummer.
Well, you can't say it's for a lack of trying there.
Well, we had a good conversation, though, didn't we?
Yeah, he's great.
Yeah, he's cool.
And for being a girl, honestly, where, you might not be as interested in this kind of thing, he's so fascinating that it motivated me that I think I'm going to go to the gym today.
Are you?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
You didn't join me?
I was sitting here going, I think I've had enough time off. I've just been doing yoga and walking and different things, but even delved in paddleboarding.
That's right. You did that
I'll talk
yesterday.
about that a little bit tomorrow on Free For All, but
that's right.
Yeah, I think it's time to go back to the gym.
Really?
I don't think I'll be throwing a kettlebell around necessarily, but
you can watch me throw the kettlebell
I'll watch you throw it around.
Yeah,
as long as you don't throw it at me, I'll be okay.
Thursday is my kettlebell workout training day.
So is it all kettlebells today for you?
No, Thursday I do other stuff. On Thursdays I work out, talk about isolationist training. I work out my arms and my legs, my arms, and my shoulders.
Legs, arms,
so
shoulders.
Those are really easy to do with kettlebells. It's difficult to do your chest with kettlebells, like he was saying. So I'll be doing that. Really going to join me?
Yeah, I'm going to join you.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I'm so excited.
I'll pick up a kettlebell for Steve today and take one for the team, but I don't know if I'm going to be doing much with it.
Well, there's some really light kettlebells there that are like 5 pounds, really small ones. And
I've seen them.
Yeah, they go all the way up to 50, 60 pounds.
They're Kate bells.
They're Kate bells, yeah.
I'll check them out.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So you just did paddleboarding yesterday for the first time, and
2 days ago, and I thought my back would be a heck of a lot more sore, but yeah, it was 2.5 miles down a canal where the sailboats go out into the ocean.
Really?
And then back through more like a safe harbor where it's quiet and not as ripply, and there was just some boats hanging out, and man, it was a good workout.
Did you fall at all? I
didn't fall.
Really?
And believe me, you do not want to fall in that water.
Oh, it's disgusting.
It's along a jetty, and you can hardly breathe because so many birds are hanging out there. All it smells is like disgusting birds. Like if you fell into the water, you'd want to sanitize yourself from head to toe. It's disgusting.
It's like, wow.
But
really?
once you kind of round past the rock jetty and you curve around more toward the harbor, then it becomes just nice. But then you get the only bummer is then a bunch of boats that are like kind of going out toward the ocean. You get all that fuel.
Yeah. Did you take your zeolite yesterday?
I took zeolite 3 times yesterday.
Oh, good. Yeah, they've talked about people that do wakeboarding and people that do skiing and stuff like that. They're basically behind the exhaust of a boat like that.
Ew.
And I read somewhere where people that do that competitively, or they do it for extended periods of time, like for many years, very often, I think they have some sort of, or they're more prone to get like lung infections and lung diseases.
Really?
And cancers and things like that, because, I mean, it's like Michael Phelps, and all these Olympic swimmers swimming in these chlorinated pools. That stuff is, from what we understand, to be carcinogenic.
Mm-hmm.
So Michael Phelps is spending 8 hours a day swimming.
Yeah.
Crazy.
I wonder if the cancer rate or disease rate is higher in Olympic swimmers than a lot of other sports.
I wonder.
Because skiing, I mean, you're mostly in fresh air.
Yeah.
But there's things like golfing where you're around the
pesticides.
Yeah, on the grasses, and then you have the chlorinated water. I mean, there's things that seem safer, quote, safer than others.
Right.
Wonder if there's any validity to that.
Yeah, I'm sure there's a lot of sports that are really damaging. Because I've heard you don't even want to live downwind from a golf course.
Yikes! Really?
Yeah, because of the winds will blow the pesticides that they're spraying on the grasses, and all the chemicals they're putting in the grasses to make them stay that way. If you're downwind from a golf course, I've heard bad things. And same with living near an airport, or next to a freeway.
A freeway, yeah.
Yeah, these are all unnatural, very unnatural places. And then swimming in pools like that tonight. Is it tonight? Yeah, tonight I'm going to be spending some time in a jacuzzi with chlorinated water.
And you never do that.
I never do that, but I'm just going to do it and do my saunas and do my rebounding and
your zeolite
my zeolite and
yeah. I mean, you can't stop living life, and if you do it a couple times a year with some friends and have a good time, ping pong and hanging out in the jacuzzi, then you know what the fun you'll have, I hope, will outweigh the chemicals. I'm just nervous for people who are doing it every day.
Oh my goodness, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's definitely not good.
It's a bummer too, because I love the idea of swimming. I do, and I think it's amazing for you and obviously all of that, but I can't bring myself to be in the chlorine that often.
You know what we need to have is what they have in Australia, in my home country, my motherland, my roots.
Your mother's land.
My mother's land is these rock pools that are carved out into the rock next to the oceans. And all they have the most amazing beaches down there in Australia. And they have these pools that are basically saltwater pools, and you can go swimming in Olympic sized pools and do laps in all the lanes and everything.
Yeah.
And it's all.
So you get the workout and you get everything, but you don't get the chlorine.
You don't get the chlorine. You don't get the sharks.
No, right.
Or the blue bottles or anything like that.
Right.
But, yeah, it's one more reason to move to Australia, right? Maybe next time Steve's going, we can fit in his bag. He'll take us down under.
Oh, I love it.
Steve, we apologize for this. I'm not sure what happened. I feel really bad, but I want to extend an offer to Steve. If he's ever in the Southern California area in Orange County, we would love to have you in studio if you're interested in doing that. It'd be a lot of fun. I feel like we barely just scratched the surface. We didn't even talk about Ayurvedic principles.
Oh, right.
You know?
Yeah.
So we got a lot to cover with Steve, and I'd love to learn more about his jiu-jitsu, and maybe he can throw me down on the ground and see if I can get out of an armbar. I don't think I would, though.
But I'd love to video it.
Yeah.
I'd love to watch.
Tap fast, tap often.
I love you, and I think you're very in shape, but I think he's got a little step up on you.
He'd take me out so fast. All right, everybody. Well, we apologize for this. These things happen on live internet radio. If you guys are interested in listening to all of our shows, we do shows 4 days a week on Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday at 9 a.m. Pacific at this website, which is extremehealthradio.com/live. Tomorrow we have our Free For All Friday show with Kate and I. And then next week, like I said, we have Ron Goldman talking about the dangers of circumcision. Next week, we're going to have Dr. Ed Park in studio talking about the telomere length and some interesting supplements he's got going on with how to improve and restore and rebuild your telomeres, which is directly related to how long you live.
Telomeres, right? I bet the average person in the street doesn't know what a telomere is.
I know, right?
It's great.
John Holiday next Thursday, about the medicinal herbs and mushrooms, and maybe we'll talk about how mushroom spores are found in space. Who knows? Oh,
I hope we do. That's always a fascinating topic of conversation.
I know, right? It's funny
Amongst
stuff.
us, we'll be laying at the beach or on vacation and be like, why do you think mushroom spores are found in space?
Why would they be?
That's a good question.
Right?
See, it never gets old.
It never gets old.
Mm-mm. Never heard of such a thing.
Never heard of it. Weirdest thing ever. So
we'll never figure it out.
Maybe mushrooms came from space to here and landed here, and maybe mushrooms are came from some other planet. Might have to talk to.
Maybe that's why they have psychedelic properties.
That's true. Maybe psychedelic properties. Maybe the psychedelic mindset is the actual mindset that's the normal day-to-day mindset of people that live on other planets.
That's bizarre.
I have to talk to Sitchin about that one.
Good old Zacharias.
Talk about the Nibiru. So anyway, guys, I want to thank you guys so much for joining us in the live chat room. It's been so much fun. I hope that you guys are all doing well and you got some good information from Steve Maxwell at maxwellsc.com if you're interested in more of his work. Hopefully we can have him in studio one day because he was so much fun. And I just hope that you guys are doing great. And is there anything else that we need to pass on?
We just love you guys, and thank you everybody for your continued support and showing up in the chat room. It's always a lot of fun.
Yes, definitely. And make sure to check out our
questions.
sponsors, Live On Labs, Essence C. We have a sponsor page that you can go to that's right available on the right side of our website. Make sure to check out our sponsors as well. Let's see. Is he trying to call back?
Is he?
What just was going on there? Steve Maxwell. Let's see. Missed call from Steve Maxwell. Maybe the show's going to be resurrected.
Well, that would be funny.
Yeah, it says missed call from Steve. What? It just went kaput.
Huh.
Let's try it one more time.
Never saw that happening.
Oh, he says it's busy. Or Skype told me it's busy. Steve Maxwell. Steve, are you there?
You have reached the mailbox of 041.
No dice.
Weird.
It said that he tried to call me. Missed call from Steve Maxwell, SC. Steve Maxwell, let's see, SC busy. He's on a mobile device. Wow. All right, we'll try this one more time, and then we'll
call it a day.
Steve,
Hello?
are you there?
Yeah. Oh my God, I'm so sorry. The internet went out.
No worries. We were just.
Oh my gosh.
We're just just surmising whether or not I'd be able to get out of an armbar if you put me in an armbar. So no big deal.
Yeah, it was crazy. They have a strange system here where you get 24 hours of internet. And you have this little code, this very complex little code you punch in for username and password. And then every 24 hours, you have to get a new one. And unfortunately, mine expired just at that moment in time.
Oh, my goodness. Oh, so you had to re-put up time on the card then.
I had to run downstairs and get a new one and then come back up.
Oh, no
and
worries.
Of course, I always take the stairs and never use the elevators.
Oh, good. I'm glad for that.
We do too.
Got to use the stairs, right?
I got to use the stairs.
That's awesome. So we were just talking a little bit about talking when you were gone about some of the programs that you have. I just want to let everybody know about all the cool stuff that you have going on. I was just reading on your events section of your website. You are going to be traveling to New York pretty soon, and then you're going to be going to Taipei, China, or Taiwan, right?
Correct. Yeah.
That's amazing. So you have a bunch of stuff, and then you are going to be in Sacramento, California as well, right?
Yep, I'll be in Sacramento doing a Rev Gear. That's that's like one of the big mixed martial arts suppliers, probably the leading one in the world. And they are now doing certifications. A lot of the martial arts gyms are, they want to also take care of their clients' fitness needs. So many of their instructors are also becoming certified in teaching kettlebell training and things like that, so that they can offer more well-rounded service and programs for their clients.
That is awesome.
So that's a growing trend now, where it's one-stop shopping. You don't have to go to a separate gym for your training and your workout, and then your jiu-jitsu or your MMA gym or your karate school. You can get all your fitness needs met right there. So that's kind of a cool idea, and I'm
a lot
very
of people
supportive of that.
Yeah, a lot of people do that, don't they? They separate out their workout, their physical fitness from their training. But I like the idea of this trend.
They'll go to a yoga studio, and then they'll go to the gym for their weights or whatever, and then they go to their martial arts school. Well, a lot of these martial arts teachers are getting pretty smart, these school owners. So they're getting their instructors certified to teach various disciplines so that the clients can stay in-house.
Yeah, that's really cool. It's a growing trend. I see it happening. That's pretty cool. And you know what? You had a profound impact on my wife, Kate, here. She said that she's taking some time away from the gym for a while, but she
not
said
today.
She's going to go back to kettlebells today.
Well, it's a really good way to train, Kate.
Yeah.
I think you'd really like it very much. And,
you've inspired me.
I've had really good success with, as far as helping people improve their physique, their figures, as well as general health.
Yeah,
so it can be a very good training tool.
I've seen them sitting there in the gym for years, and I have yet to pick one up. So you know what? Today's going to be that day.
I love it.
Yeah. For sure.
Thank you.
So, Steve, I wanted to ask you, just sort of in closing here, I'm just fascinated by just your whole approach to everything, and especially with the Ayurvedic principles, which we didn't even get to today. There's so much to get to, but I'm curious, as such a high-level black belt in jiu-jitsu and these types of seemingly young man sports, even though people do it much older, like Elio was much in his 90s still training. But how long do you see yourself training in jiu-jitsu?
Well, pretty much till I die. I mean, there's no reason not to.
I love it.
Of course, I approach the training much different than I did when I was younger. I'm not nearly as competitive. I really like to keep it playful, really fun, like rolling around in the living room with your brothers, with your pajamas on.
Yeah.
And and as you get older, the ego isn't just such a big thing anymore. And of course, my advice to all guys, especially those over 40. Tap early and tap often when you're doing your rolls. Yes. Yeah, definitely no ego and no machismo, right? That's where people get injured. That's when people get hurt, when you get that ego in there. Have you gotten to the point now where you can look at someone new, if you see somebody who's in your gym or someone who's at a seminar and they want to roll with you, have you gotten to the point where you can look at them and say, no, it doesn't feel right. I think this guy's going to be a little bit aggressive and try to prove himself here? Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. You know it right away from the first moment you talk to the guy. Yeah, you do, don't you? Yeah, you know. You can just see it in their attitude and the way they comport themselves and the way they communicate. You just learn those things over the years. And then you can definitely tell as soon as you clinch or the first moment you start, you can tell, can't you, when people get very aggressive? Yeah, for sure. And, that all goes back to that breathing, breathing. Master Hickson came out of retirement. He's teaching seminars pretty much all over the world. And he spends the first hour of his seminars now teaching his breath work. Wow. That's how important it is. He was the first one in the Gracie family that sort of got into this yogic and even developing the body as a machine kind of. And he was the first one in their family that sort of got into that kind of stuff, or wasn't he? Yeah, for sure. I mean, they all were really into physical culture and training. But Hickson took it to the next level for sure. Yeah, he's a fascinating guy. Wow. And so he came out of retirement recently and he's doing more seminars? Yeah, he had been pretty much living the life of a recluse. He had a very upsetting experience where his one son died as a teenager. Hawks and Gracie. It was a real tragedy. And it really made him pretty sad. And he just kind of became a little bit reclusive there for a few years, and now he's back teaching again, which is great to see. He just started his own federation, and that's really nice to see also. He wants to do his own tournaments with his own type of rules, There's been a little controversy in modern jiu-jitsu about the way the tournaments are run, some of the scoring and so forth. A lot of people have been complaining about stalling, and there's these new techniques like the 50-50 guard and so forth, which is pretty boring for the people to watch. Right. And they're trying to make it more interesting to the viewers and make it a bit more dynamic, the modern sport. And so Hickson started his own federation, which is pretty interesting. And of course, I've already joined. Is that different than that Metamoris that they're doing with the other sons? Yes, those are the sons of Horia and Gracie, the oldest son of Elio. They started this this tournament, pretty much no points, submission only. You either submit the guy or you don't. 20-minute matches. It's a pretty cool tournament. It's really fun to watch.
Yeah,
they've been getting a
stuff.
lot of support.
Yeah, I've been seeing a lot of their stuff online and a lot of their videos. Really, really cool stuff. Some amazingly high-level guys in there.
Oh, yeah, for sure, man. My son fought in the one before last and did a great job.
Really? That's so cool. And how long has your son been training?
From the time he was 3 years old.
Oh, my gosh.
He's 23 now. Yeah.
That is so cool. Wow. Well, thank you, Steve, for your time today. And we barely got into any of the Ayurvedic principles that I was really fascinated that you know so much about. But perhaps
you're just going to have me back, you know.
I know. If you're ever in the Southern California area, we'd love to have you in studio. That'd be a lot of fun.
Yeah, for sure. I had a great time. So I really appreciate you having me on the show. And sorry for the drop call. That was crazy.
Oh, no worries. That happens. You know, it's just amazing that we can connect up like this in two different countries. So
yeah.
Awesome stuff. All right. Thank you so much, Steve. Hang on the line there really quickly. We're going to close out our live show because we have a live studio or live audience. So I want to thank everyone for being a part of the live show, which is at extremehealthradio.com/live. 4 days a week on Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So I want to thank all you guys in the chat room for being a part of this. And
great questions, old former students. That was really neat.
Yeah, really cool. So thank you so much for being a part of the live show. We appreciate it so much. We're going to be back tomorrow at 9 a.m. Pacific for our Free for All Friday show. If you guys want to join us for that and listen in and make some friends. So we appreciate you guys being a part of the live show, and we'll catch you on the next episode.
Fantastic. Okay. I'll keep that in mind. I'll contact you next time I'm around.
Awesome. Cool. Thanks a lot, Steve.
Bye, Steve.
Bye. Thanks.
Thanks.
All right. That was Steve Maxwell. We did actually get reconnected with him. That was cool.
Surprised.
Yeah. Really, really cool. So
we're not on.
What's that?
We're not on.
No, but we're recording.
Oh.
Yeah. We're still recording all this.
Okay.
That's how I guess this whole thing works. Sometimes I forget too. So we're just about closing up the show anyway, right? When we got reconnected with him.
We are.
What are you laughing about?
Nothing.
Are people in the chat room saying something?
No. I'm laughing because I'm confused.
Why?
Because didn't we say hold on the line and we closed out the live show? And now we've just been chatting with him ourselves.
Yeah.
So we don't need to. We're done.
No, but this is how we always close out the show.
Oh.
Yeah. But since we did like the post show stuff in that break, we don't have to do it now.
Okay. You're going to post all this stuff we just talked about?
No, not like right when we closed out the live show. Mm-hmm. I'll take all of that out.
Oh.
And then this will be still in the show.
Okay. I'm so confused.
You still don't know what we're doing?
I know what we're doing now, but I didn't know that we were... Okay.
So the stuff that we just talked about with him right there after the live show, that's not going to be in the show.
I got you.
But people are going to hear this and wonder what we talked about.
Well, now I feel stupid because I thought we kind of wrapped up the show prior and we said everything we wanted to say. So I will let you finish out then.
Yeah. Well, no, that's what I was just saying is that since we already did that,
gotcha.
We already closed out the show. Okay. And then you were looking at me crazy. Yeah. People are like, what in the world is wrong with these people?
Well, you can understand how this got a little sticky today.
Yeah, this one was a little bit tricky.
So
all right, everybody, I want to thank you so much for joining us, and that's basically it.
So fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So make sure to check out maxwellsc.com if you're interested in checking out his seminars and his events that he's got going on, as well as some of his products, his videos, and all kinds of cool stuff. You can also follow him on Facebook, which we just started doing, to find out where he's at, and really fascinating guy.
Yeah, he is. I'm going to go lift a kettlebell for him today.
You know what we should do? We should continue getting rid of some things.
Yeah.
And be more minimalistic.
We've been on quite the kick lately, haven't we?
Yeah, so we'll do that today, and then we'll swing a kettlebell too.
Love it.
Nothing wrong with that.
Love it. Then I'll get you in an arm bar and try to rubber guard you and choke hold you. Those are the only words I know.
I love it. Eddie Bravo, rubber guard.
And then stick a throwing star in your jugular vein. That's not nice.
Because that's one way to protect yourself.
Right.
Because you can rely on your accuracy with a throwing star.
With all my throwing star skills.
Nunchuck skills.
Little known talent. Bow hunting skills. Hey, but don't make fun of that because tomorrow on Free For All, I'm going to talk about how I want to get into archery.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. We got a lot to get to tomorrow.
All
right, everybody. Thank you so much. This was episode 310. We'll catch you on the next episode.
Hey, everybody. This is Josie, Justin's mum. Don't tell him, but I know he would absolutely be really happy if you would sign up to his free weekly newsletter. And don't forget to share this with all your friends. This is the buzzing bumblebee signing off.
That's so good. We are so dumb. Especially me right there.
Oh my gosh.
Maggie liked it.
Thank you for listening to this episode.
It's time to go for now, but our mission does not end with this show.
Justin and Kate will be back with another interview packed full of ideas, discoveries, and unique ways to regain your health.
Head on over to extremehealthradio.com/subscribe and instantly download our free gift too that contains cutting-edge strategies to start making healthy lifestyle changes today.
No material on this blog is intended to suggest that you should not seek professional medical care. Always work with qualified medical professionals, even if you educate yourself in the field of live food, nutrition, and alternative medicine. I'm not a doctor, nor am I offering readers medical advice of any kind. None of the information offered here should be interpreted as a diagnosis of any disease, nor an attempt to treat or